Yeah, it's the 90s and got a little something for you. So check it out. If you're down with the click, let me hear you say. If you're down with the click, let me hear you say. If you're down with the click, let me hear you say. If you're down with the click, let me hear you say.
Yeah, well, I guess it's time for me to wreck shop. So show your peace while the beat drops. If you're in the house, just throw your hands up and let me see my brothers and sisters spread love. And if you're not down or something wrong, see, and my project homies has got my back, G. Dropping the old school with a new soul. PA's in the house and it's a quick thing.
Well, if you're down with the click, let me hear you say. If you're down with the click, let me hear you say. If you're down with the click, let me hear you say. If you're down with the click, let me hear you say.
Microphone checker, I must do this. And if you didn't know, I thought you knew this. It took a little time, but now it's on scene. You've been waiting for so long to beat me. So check it out.
Check it out.
All the dogs in the house. So pump your fists in the air and sing. R.KELLY's on the track and it's a quick thing.
If you're down with the click, let me hear you say. If you're down with the click, let me hear you say. If you're down with the click, let me hear you say. If you're down with the click, let me hear you say.
I don't mind when my homies wanna chit chat, but when it's time to, then I'll get back. See, I am what I am when I jam. Mr. Beat Slam, I'll make you say.
Goddamn.
And if you're not down with my click, then you just doo-doo on a stick. And if you're down with Leah, I'm glad you feel the same. Boy, it feels good to know you're in my click
So if you're down with the click, let me hear you say. If you're down with the click, let me hear you say. If you're down with the click, let me hear you say. If you're down with the click, let me hear you say. Yeah. Break it down.
Tonight is the night that I take you, boy,
Yeah.
and put you in my click thing.
Yeah. Let me explain the menu to y'all. Check it out. Well, first we have the black ground posse in her clique. Then we have the funky second chapter in her clique. PA is in the house and yes, you know they're in her clique. And all the project homies are down with the clique. Well, now we have the double extra large in her clique. Plus we got the DA to the smart in her clique. Then we have the downtown posse in her clique. Peace to the hood, cause you're down with the clique. So if you're down with the clique, let me hear you say. If you're down with the clique, let me hear you say. If you're down with the clique, let me hear you say. If you're down with the clique, let me hear you say. If you're down with the clique, let me hear you say. If you're down with the clique, let me hear you say. If you're down with the clique, let me hear you say. If you're down with the clique, let me hear you say. If you're down with the clique, let me hear you say. If you're down with the clique, let me hear you say. If you're down with the clique, let me hear you say. If you're down with the clique, let me hear you say.
Welcome to the R.KELLY Project. It's R.KELLY Boy. We are back for another episode. How you doing out there? And we are taking a slight pause on Gohan and to talk about all the BS that's developing outside of what's going on with the characters, as far as what's really pushing what's really pushing everything. And here we are at the Androids, right? The first walk in of the Androids on this project, and that being the case, I really don't know what to say about the Androids, because the Androids start off associated with probably one of the biggest plot holes in all of Dragon Ball Z, and that's DR.GERO himself. DR.GERO wasn't even in Dragon Ball, so so when you're associated with a character like that, obviously there's gonna be a whole bunch of other stuff that starts popping up that doesn't really kind of make sense. And Android 17 and 18 are the embodiment of that conundrum, as it would seem. They just don't make a whole bunch of sense. Subtextually, implicit, explicit, in context, out of context. Android 17, 18 just don't make a whole bunch of sense to me. They just don't. Obviously, other than being fodder for Cell, they don't really serve any purpose. And so in that instance, I believe that they're probably the worst creations that DR.GERO put out. only because their only purpose was to get was the boost the big sell up. So Dr. Gero's greatest creations, and we'll get to this, is Android 16 and Cell. That's it. Everything else he did before that, outside of the movies, obviously, are trash. I mean, no, you can say, oh man, you can call Android 18 trash. Not necessarily. Now, because if you go back to the Vegeta video, she did put a hurting on Vegeta. She did fuck Vegeta up, and Vegeta was like max was his stock was, again, as we said, his stock was as high as it ever been, and it really don't get any higher than that for him after this. This is probably the worst thing that happened to him in the whole series, is him getting smashed in all the wrong ways by Android 18. So I get it. The androids are strong. I get it, but that's all they are. They aren't anything else. They aren't evil. They aren't smart. They aren't mature. They aren't. That's all they are. They're just powerful. That's all they are. Frieza wasn't just powerful. He was a whole bunch of other things, as we already talked about. And as we're going to get forward to, Cell wasn't just powerful. There's a whole bunch of other things in his bag, in his character, that makes him dangerous. And Cell also has a whole bunch of techniques and stuff like that too. So I mean, that was a lot more to Cell than just him being just outright powerful. If you know, and at the time when Raditz showed up, he was quote unquote powerful. But what did that get him? You know, like you got to be. It's a little bit more to it than all that. And the androids, when they do pop up, they do shake shit up. You know, but that's only like one good time, like for real. It's not that whole interaction. It was so anticlimactic when they jumped the whole Z Squad. Okay, cool, whatever. But after that, they not about it. They not about shit. Androids, they just too not about shit as individuals. Androids 18 and 17, they not about shit. You know, like, and I don't know if that was like the human factor in it all in their creation, but. And that definitely could have been. Obviously, the androids seem to run on some sort of key energy, right? In my opinion, I think that Dr. Gero probably was indeed successful in developing some kind of dark, perverse substitute alternate to natural key energy. He developed his own key energy, which is sick, and if you really think about it. And Android in 17 and 18 seem to be the ultimate product of that discovery. Only to big up Cell, though, obviously, again. So they have no real purpose. Android 16 had a mission, Cell had a mission. Android 17, 18 seems to have these anime kid attitudes. You know, like the cool anime kid attitudes, and it's kind of annoying after a while. Like after they smashed the Z Squad, they just become filler and really kind of annoying, honestly. Even Android 18, with all her glossiness and her being one of the greatest female characters of all time, still she gets kind of annoying after a while too. And it's just and after that fight, it's just a stopgap. It's a complete stopgap until we get to Cell. So they're pretty much useless, really. If you take out Android 17 and 18 and only have Android 16 wake up, the story's the exact same. The story's the exact same, because Android 16 will go looking for Goku, and he couldn't find him because obviously Goku's in a hyperbolic time chamber, and Android 16 wouldn't really kill anybody else because until Goku got out. But then then he probably wouldn't want to see Goku when Goku got out. But if he did get to Goku before Goku got in, that'd have been a problem. And so Android 16 was the problem. Android 16 was the initial problem. Not Android 17, not Android 18. And again, if we omit Android 17, 18 from the story goes exactly the same. Obviously, you don't have Cell transform. That's the only major difference. But let's say if Cell is still pretty powerful without them, and Cell probably would just have to play it a little differently as far as, so instead of absorbing the androids, Cell had to absorb a lot more humans, to maybe get to his WWE form. He probably would never been in a perfect form, but to get to his WWE form, Cell could have kind of probably like took out 3/4 of the world or all the world, and the Z Fighters would have had a hard time finding him, and it'd been really, really bad. And then, or maybe if he did get everybody in the world, maybe he would have been like even more semi-perfect than that 17 form was. But I say all that to say, obviously all that speculation, but that's what the Android saga opened itself up for. It's a whole bunch of speculation. That's why I said I really don't know what to say about the Androids, because we don't know anything about their construction. We don't know anything about their history. I wish we would have got some of that. You know, were they humans? Were they not? And there's a lot of confusion that surrounds them, not even just in their construction, but in their relationship to DR.GERO. And so I don't really know. That's why I said I really don't know what to say about them, because they just seem to be beyond fodder. They just seem to be filler as well to me. So, you know, comment. Let me know what was the Android's main function, other than Cell, obviously, other than being fodder for Cell. And then did they run on some kind of fake key energy, or was it all just some kind of cellular thing? Maybe DR.GERO figured out how to way to bolster the human cell and created his own creatures, his own organic creatures in Android 17, 18, and all they were was just to, you know, obviously, you know, mesh with Cell to make him the ultimate organic creature. So maybe Android 17, 18 didn't have any kind of mechanisms in them. Maybe not. Maybe it wasn't any kind of circuitry or mechanics. Maybe they were all organic too somehow or another. They were just kind of like base level, you know, like expansion packs for for Cell, you know. But I don't know. But Android 16 was it. Android, and then Cell was it. The other two were just, they're really confusing. They're really annoying, and they just waste a bunch of time and a bunch of dialogue. I mean, obviously, we like Android 18 for reasons beyond, you know, her all that, but still, that being the case, still, you know, it's not enough, especially when Cell is around, you know. And again, they're powerful, but they don't know what to do with all that power. They don't. They it's playtime for them, you know. They just on schools let out and shit, you know. They teenagers, you know, listening to 80s pop music in their van or whatever, you know, like they could have definitely made an 80s music about an 80s music video or 80s movie about Android 17 and 18, that's for sure. You know, that's where they were at. So but Android 16 again was the real problem, and we'll get to all that. We'll get into Android 16, and we'll get into Cell next episode. Again, comment, let me know what you think about the Androids. Not really much that's tangible to say about them, because they came from the intangible to begin with. Again, there was no DR.GERO to begin with, so that's when we start running into all these problems. But that being the case, again, you gotta give DR.GERO credit where credit's due. We are talking about the story. He is in the story, and beyond that, you know, for him to, you know, have concoct this plan with all these crazy, mechanized or not, creations, you know, you know, he has to, and we're gonna say this again, but he has to go down. He has to get a bid for one of the greatest villains of all time. He has to make that list just because of what he did. You know, he's a psycho, and just, you know, so, and all because of some little boy ran up in his shit and shut his whole shit down, and he was mad ever since. It's a little Saiyan kid. So, anyways, we'll see you next time. The Road Cheetah Boy, Road Cheetah Project. Take care of yourselves. Level up. Guilt is really, really bad. Try not to hold on to it. The Sacrament of Confession is really, really good for that. There's an infinite pool of mercy, whether you feel it or know it or not, and we just have to, you know, put ourselves in a position to utilize that great ocean of mercy that's available to us. But in the meantime, life is hard. We suffer, we make mistakes, we suffer more, we make more mistakes, and it seems like it's never going to stop, right? You know, it seems like you're always going to be stuck being the person that you are for the negative. I mean, the good things about you, cool, but the negative things about you, not so cool, right? Well, my advice to you is just, you know, run to Jesus' mercy, because he has a whole bunch of it, and not beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up. That's the worst thing. Don't let regret and guilt drag you down even further. You know, there is a light. There is a way out. It's just going to take a little bit of effort on our parts to make it all come together, you know. But where sin abound, grace and mercy abounds even more. So that's all I was trying to say. So, anyways, we'll see you next time. The Real Cheetah Project, Real Cheetah Boy. Regardless, shout out to the Androids because that's the first and last walk-in of them on the project, and we're pushing forward towards the end of Dragon Ball Z as a whole on the project. So how about that? All right, we'll see you next episode, and we already hit on who we're going to talk about. So come back for that, and also check out some of the other stuff that we already have. The podcast is live. Comment if you haven't. Subscribe if you haven't. You know, drop a like. And if this all made sense to you, drop a dislike if it didn't, whatever. And then we'll keep it pushing. Level up. Thank you so much.